can't do it.
Am I making you nervous?
No, actually, this is just me.
Oh.
So, you're joining a new campaign, and you decide you're going to play a good aligned character. Let's name him Boron. Boron's motivation for adventuring is to help people. Healing, probably. What does Boron do while adventuring? Help the party. Healing, probably. And dealing the most damage, while also being the main tank, because clerics are busted. We've already talked about how to play an evil character, so today we're going to talk about how to play a good character. And by the way, if being evil is inflicting harm on another person, then we're going to define good as helping someone. I know what you're thinking.
Playing a good character is easy, straightforward, right?
Wrong. Just like you have evil characters who are controlled by players who think that being an evil person means doing evil things because you're evil, you have good aligned characters controlled by players who do good things just because their character's alignment says they're good. And while it's true that a good aligned character won't result in disruptions like an evil character will, it's also true that it may result in a boring character. Like Boron. Because if harming people just cause evil doesn't make sense, then helping people just cause doesn't make sense either. They're two sides of the same nonsensical coin. But what do you, player/DM, get out of changing the way that you see good aligned characters? Good characters. What we're going to talk about today will make your PCs and NPCs more engaging during your campaigns. Especially for those of you who like planning character arcs and writing 10-page backstories for your DM to read. So you probably realize by now that I lied about the video that I was going to make next. I am still going to do the whole if X ran D&D thing, but I'm just going to be doing that on my TikTok. Link in the description. And if you're new to this channel, my name is Locke Lamora. I'm a professional dungeon master, and here I post educational D&D and Pathfinder tips for those players and DMs who want to get good. Be sure to leave a like if you like the video and subscribe, or this will appear under your bed tonight. But for real, your support will encourage me to make more videos like this and improve my content. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Starting with the why. So there are two ways you can go about deciding why your character would help another person. Each will result in two different types of heroes. One will be your gritty, reluctant hero that may rise to the occasion in a big way, but only against certain evils and under certain conditions. The other will be your vanilla hero that'll usually come to someone's aid. But even that character should have deal breakers and might downright refuse to help a person under certain circumstances. Now, even if you're thinking of playing a gritty hero, you still want to think of your character as a decent person as a starting point. Again, just because it's a gritty character doesn't mean they have to be a jerk. They might be well-mannered, they wouldn't mind holding the door for someone, usual human things. But doing something good usually comes with a cost that these heroes are reluctant to pay. So coming back to thinking about the reasons why your character would help someone, these reasons could be ideals, race, gold, family. For ideals, your cleric or paladin would be more willing to help someone who was a follower of Arathis or Sarenrae if you're playing Pathfinder. Maybe your character's a dwarf and would be more willing to help other dwarves to show camaraderie. And I could easily see a character sticking their neck out for family or for the party. Your character could be a really good doctor, but still only would heal people if they're paid enough to do so. All of these examples can be true for one character, but the important part is that these things add depth to your character that might not have been there before. It takes the act of kindness away from a single sentence of, my character's alignment is good, and shifts it towards character depth. Now for your vanilla good character, it might be more useful to define situations where you wouldn't help another person. You could be a zealot paladin that's reluctant to help others who don't already worship a god that you respect. And your character might not save someone if it means putting your party in danger. Maybe your character would do something good, but just not at the cost of risking their own life. There are a lot of situations where your character might not help another person or creature. No matter what type of hero you're going for, just like evil characters, I would suggest starting small. Play the game and discover why your character would not or would do those good things for other people. And if you want a character with depth and complexity, I would suggest doing both. Think about the things that your character would do and would not do. Now, another thing to consider is the presence of evil, or the act of an evil doing. An injustice might force your character to act, even if they wouldn't do that normally. The second thing you'll want to think about when making a good aligned character is the line. But instead of thinking about the amount of harm you'd inflict, think about the amount that your character would risk or give up to help someone. This can come in the form of gold. Donations is a really good example of this. This could also be your character risking to put in more money than they can afford to see a good act being done to help someone else. Maybe you could see your character putting their reputation on the line for someone else to prove that they're innocent during some sort of medieval trial. And let's not forget that there are some things that are worth putting your life on the line to see it through. Playing games like D&D or Pathfinder, where your character is usually off on an adventure and putting themselves in danger, maybe your character is already okay with putting themselves in a bad spot to help someone else, but they might not be okay with putting their life on the line for it. If you want a morally great character that leans closer towards the somewhat good rather than fully good, you'll want to think about the evil things your character would do as the exception to the rule for the greater good. No, this isn't something like killing half a population like Thanos did. That's just straight up evil. This is more like breaking your usual code of not killing someone to see to it that you end a war. Things like that. And there are some ways you can twist what is really good. A paladin might see smiting someone who they've deemed evil as a good thing. Righteous. A thief might steal from the many to give to the some. Other way around. Just know that these things are extremes. So unless you are playing that zealot, super by-the-line paladin, your starting point shouldn't be killing someone. And I know in an encounter, it might be easier to just kill the enemy that you're fighting, since you could just puke fireballs like it's nothing. But if you can resolve the situation without killing the threat, I think for a good aligned character, that probably makes more sense as a starting point. As long as you're not going out of your way to do that. Now, if you combine the idea of your character rising to an evil with the concept that I've dubbed the line, you might have to think about how much of that evil has to be done for your character to finally respond to it. You might not care to go out of your way to stop a bunch of pickpockets in a big city, but you might be more willing to stop a gang of thieves that are robbing the local guilds. As a side note, here's what not to do as a good aligned character. Imagine the party is far behind enemy lines and you guys see that there are prisoners being transported along a lonely road in a forest. If you don't stop them, the prisoners will likely suffer a horrible fate. But if you do stop that transport, you'll likely risk a TPK or at least your party expending resources right before a boss fight. But since you're playing Boron, you charge right in, even going against your party's wishes. And the DM facepalms as you commit Sudoku. Sometimes people have excuses like, oh, my character made me do this. Don't write strict things in your character where they have to do something if X happens. That's just toxic and it's going to result in weird situations that your party is going to have to put up with. Whether it's helping someone, doing an evil, whatever it is, those are really weird characters. If you are going to do that, talk with your party first to make sure that they're okay with it, because that stuff can get really annoying. And the last thing, just like last time, that you'll do when playing a good aligned character is talk with your DM and your party. While you might want to find themes that don't come up too often if you're playing an evil character to avoid stoppages in your game's pacing, you definitely do want to find things that come up often for your character to explore their goodness in the game. This is because it's really easy for your DM to use your character's good aligned nature as a call to action when it comes to introducing plot hooks. And talking about the themes that you might face might also help you avoid some really awkward characters. I've had a player want to introduce a character whose motivation for adventuring is to one day fight against the Patriarch. The only problem is that there was no Patriarch. Working with the DM or the party also helps you choose how much you want to engage with this facet of your character, how often you explore that. If you're aiming for a more gritty character, maybe you want to talk with your DM about the themes that are core to the storyline, or at least the world that you're going to be playing in. If it's a sandbox, your character can care enough to help with the core theme of the game, but maybe they usually don't care about most other things. So there you have it, how to actually play a good character. Let me know what are the most cringe and boring good aligned characters that you've had to play with in the past in the comment section below. Who knows, maybe I'll read them and react to them in my next video. As always, I upload videos at 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Wednesday. I've been Locke Lamar, and I'll see you next time. Just like you have evil aligned characters who have players, just like...